Hey, I checked the website. Pick-apart has Vise, Mazda tributes or escapes that would work for us. Do you want to go there right now? Okay, I'm on my way.
Today we've got a complete windshield washer system replacement. A pretty common upgrade for the Miata is to relocate the washer bottle into the cowl where the windshield wiper assembly is mounted. It cleans up room in the engine bay. The upgrade is a Cappuccino Washer Bottle replacement for the Miata. We've got the bottle, you reuse your washer motor. Another common upgrade is the nozzles that stick out of the hood really just squirt and drizzle. They don't actually direct it at the windshield all that great. Ours especially has a couple that are just gummed up and not spraying anything anywhere. The Mazda Tribute Ford Escapes from 2002 to 2009 have a lot better of a washer nozzle that's almost the exact same mounting as the Miatas. We're gonna pull out the ones that are there. We're going to replace the nozzles and just really update the whole windshield washer system. The hose that goes to the original bottle obviously is run through the firewall on the passenger side, and now we need it to be on the driver's side. So this is going to want to leak washer fluid, I think.
Yep.
So now we're going to try to get the hose out. So this is all pretty brittle and old. More than likely that's why we weren't getting any spray out of the driver's side nozzle. Okay, so once you got the hose off from the inside, there's probably a couple locking tabs that are supposed to hold the nozzle in place. This one, if I just grab it, actually just came out. Yeah, so you can see there's two tabs there that you're supposed to depress. This one is, again, so brittle that it's just falling apart. The gasket came off with this one. You can see there's a bit of paint chipped off the hood. Obviously this hood has been painted once before and all they did was mask off the washer nozzles. But the biggest difference is with the spray nozzles. So the Miata ones have like a steel tip in there that it's common for the tip to freeze and get a bit of water stuck in there, and then the tip just gets gummed up and it won't spray. The Mazda Tribute style has 3 little jets that actually give you a mist spray pattern. These actually install one way only. So there's 2 locking tabs that hold the nozzle in the hood, and then there's 1 index tab that only goes one way, and that just makes sure that you point the nozzle towards the windshield and you don't install it backwards pointing out the front of the hood. When I grabbed the nozzles off the donor cars at the auto wrecker, I also decided to grab a length of hose. I knew taking the original one apart, it was going to be brittle and hard. This hose is off of a later vehicle that's still got some flex to it. When I just do a quick test fit here to the holes, it actually is pretty much perfect. So I'm just holding the nozzle from the outside of the hood and applying some pressure downwards so that you don't just snap the tip of the nozzle off while you're pushing the hose over top. And that way, you know, you get a pretty good fit. I don't have enough to put this in there and then go from here down to there, like with one shot. I don't have enough now to get from that 90-degree piece to the motor, but what I do have is a straight through coupler from the old hose that went from the hose to the pump, and I have my 2 sections of hose left over from the donor vehicle that we got, so I'll lengthen them by connecting them together. So we're gonna go from this 90-degree connected with our straight through coupler, and then plug this end into our pump. Push the tip of the hose on over top. Part of the cappuccino bottle install is you need to power the pump. The original wiring harness comes out of the main harness to the engine loom. I'm gonna cut this wiring harness and then I'm gonna lengthen the 2 wires all the way over to the pump, and we're gonna tuck it along that wiring harness, and then we're gonna go through the firewall where the original washer hose used to go, and then I'm gonna run the wire down inside the cowl to the pump. This is some spare wire that I had from a MSD ignition box install that just happens to have 2 wires and be fairly long. So I'll cut the connectors off of these to be able to use the original connector on the pump, and we'll just splice the wires together, and I'll show you how to do that with some heat shrink and some crimp connectors. Then you want to twist the exposed wire. I'm going to slide on the spade connectors. I like to use the ones with no insulation, and then I use my own heat shrink over top of each connection. Spade connectors are sized in gauges of wire, and then most of your crimp connectors are going to be the same. So this is a 16 to 14 gauge, so you're going to use the middle crimp connector on the pliers. You want to make sure the seam ends up against one of the sides of your crimp tool. Then you just slide your wire in, try to bury it as much as you can so you don't have exposed wire. I give it a crimp in the middle, and then I just crimp the end, give it a tug, make sure nothing's going to come apart. We'll do the other 4. So now that we've got all 4 of our connections done here, what we're going to do is we're going to take the original connector off the car, and we're going to crimp it to the side of the wire closest to the pump. To save yourself some hassle, do everything that you can on the bench as opposed to working in a confined space on the car. We'll strip and expose this side in the car, but this side I can easily just work on the bench. Our goal here is to just get this factory electrical tape off and expose the wires that are underneath. And we're going to heat shrink the connections anyway, so we don't need it to be taped all the way to the connector. We just want to get the razor blade in between the 2 wires that are there. So I'm just going to slide it in and only put like the tip of the blade in there, but I'm trying to get in between those 2 wires. Just like that, spread them apart, and now we've exposed the wires that are underneath the tape. Most of the tape should peel off once you get a little bit of it started. What you don't want to do is accidentally, while you're cutting, strip away the insulation off of either of the 2 wires. If you strip the insulation off and they contact, you're going to just continuously blow your fuse. So now we have our 2 lengths of wire exposed. Just strip back a ½ inch or so. For something as simple as just a windshield washer motor, it's pretty low amperage, so a crimp connection will do. I've got an assortment kit with different thicknesses of heat shrink, and that one fits over top perfect. I'll go to the other side of the connector and just drop on 2 pieces of heat shrink before I make my connections. Give it 2 crimps, and then you can use a heat gun or grab your girlfriend's hair dryer. I just use a lighter. Just make sure you get both sides. So collapse it, flip it over, and now you've got both a watertight and safe electrical connection that isn't going to arc out or contact. Okay. So make our connection at the pump and just kind of tuck the wires down out of the way for now. We'll do some zap straps and clean that up later. Feed the wires through the same grommet that the hose used to go through. Push those wires through and then get the insulation through there. Pull all the excess into the engine bay. It's just a little bit bigger, but that'll still hold it for now. Yep, so let's just do the same connection over here. Purple to the blue with the orange tracer. Priorities, roll up your rim. Win a donut.
Donuts.
So the two holes that we're going for to be able to mount it here is one existing hole that's right there, and then this bolt here that retains the vacuum hose to the brake booster off this bracket. We're going to pull that bolt out and install a longer one so that we can put a nut and a washer from the back side to hold the cappuccino bottle in place. There's this clip that holds the hard line for the slave cylinder on, and the clip is actually pretty deep into the firewall. So when I drop the cappuccino bottle down, it actually hits that clip. What I'm just going to do is eliminate that clip. Similar to the windshield washer nozzles, there's two little tabs on the back side of the clip here that lock it into the firewall. So you need to get your pliers in there to depress those two tabs so you can pull it back through. We might not replace it. It may just be fine without it. What we want to do is measure the distance from those two holes for the Z brackets that we want to bend up to relocate the cappuccino bottle down and over, because we don't want to drill any extra holes through the firewall. I'm guessing you guys wouldn't want to either. In those original holes, it sits too far up where the lid to fill your bottle contacts the hood. So we'll space it down and over, bend up another couple more of those cooler straps. When you buy an aftermarket oil cooler, it comes with what's called cooler strapping. It's about a 1 inch wide, 1/4 inch thick piece of like stamped steel, but it has a hole almost every inch. We need two brackets to mount the cappuccino bottle, and we need one of them shaped in a Z, and the other one may actually just work to have a straight bracket. This one we need to be bent in a Z. We need the piece to be an overall of about 1.75 inches long, and we need about a 1/2 inch offset in it. The mounting locations are spaced conveniently at right about 2.25 from center to center. So we'll cut the bracket off here and create the bend in the middle. We bent up our brackets for the washer bottle. The Z-shaped one is going to go on the driver's side closest to the fender, and then we've got just another straight bracket that we're going to try on the bottle located towards the middle of the car. We've got 4 bolts, 4 nuts, a couple washers to be able to bolt the bracket to the bottle and then bolt the brackets to the firewall. The bend that I put in the bracket is actually contacting the bottle right there when I try to flex it over. Okay, so I ground off the outside edge closest to the bottle to hopefully give myself enough room to be able to pivot the bracket. So now with the bracket ground out there, I've got enough room to be able to pivot it over to try to locate that hole. So we've dropped the bracket down and spaced the bottle towards the driver's side of the car. If you look through this hole right there, you can see that our bracket hole is now lined up Okay, let's see how close. Oh yeah, we've actually got like a ½ inch, quarter-inch between the hood and the bottle. That's it. Or afternoon.
You sure there wasn't anything else in there for us?
Okay, so we grabbed a set of the flat style blades. Depending on what your budget or preference is, you can go either way. You should replace your wiper blades at the beginning of each winter season. We just happen to be replacing them now at the same time to update the entire windshield washer system. We're gonna prep our wiper arms for paint. These ones are in pretty decent shape. The paint is kind of faded and peeling, so what we're going to do is we're just going to scuff all this up with some Scotch-Brite, just so that the paint has something clean and rough to adhere to. And on the driver's side arm, we're going to unbolt the wind deflector blade and paint it separately, just in a nice satin black. The wiper arms have little grooves machined into them, as well as the pivot point on the wiper linkage there, and you can put it on in any orientation that you want. And I've found so many times you take the arm off, you put it back on, and afterwards your wiper blade doesn't sit always on the windshield. It will sweep either all the way across or down into your cowl. So the easiest way to mark it is just take a piece of masking tape. You don't want to go too long, but long enough that it'll mark a line. And what I do is I align the bottom edge of the tape to where the blade actually contacts the windshield. So take both the nuts off. These ones are 12 mil. There's a little cup that sits over top of these nuts that we've taken off and painted already. Just use a small flat blade screwdriver underneath the hat and pop the cup off. Push down solid and it'll crack that seal up against the pivot there, and you can pull the passenger side arm right off. Now we're just going to take the freshly painted wiper arms and attach the wiper blades just like that. The easiest way to tell on the early gen Miatas is the two holes that bolt the air blade on are for the driver's side arm. Reinstall the cups, then reinstall the air blade. So what this does is when you're at speeds, this will actually apply downforce, so it'll use the wind to push the wiper blade up against the windshield harder so that you get better contact to the glass. So we got the entire windshield washer system updated and cleaned up on the Miata. Relocating the cappuccino bottle to the cowl gave us the clearance that we need, and it cleaned up the look under the hood. The new wiper arms and blades really help with clearing the windshield, and then the Mazda Tribute washer nozzles really give you more of a mist spray pattern and a lot more of an update for our car specifically, because those couple jets were just completely not even working. So extremely happy with this update, and minimal cost and work to actually get it working.